Welcome to the collection of the wildest and craziest AITA Reddit stories of all time. From wild betrayals to shocking twists, these tales will leave you questioning who is really in the wrong. Let's dive in together. The first story for this video is from Keegan. My girlfriend wants me to unfollow a female influencer on social media, AITA, for refusing and breaking up with my GF. For context, in the past, my now ex-F had been cheated on via social media years ago. Her boyfriend at the time was talking to other women on Facebook behind her back, and when confronted, he essentially ignored it and acted like nothing happened. Additional context, there is a current social media influencer who I used to very publicly lust over, heart eyes, come home the kids miss you, the works. Although sometimes it would be business related trying to get her on my podcast, it didn't work out, so I just went back to be a regular follower of hers, liking pictures she would post and going about my day. So when my ex and I got together, all of those heart eyes and thirst comments for the influencer were done. She told me the Facebook story, and I reassured her multiple times throughout our relationship, 3 months, she was the only one for me, and that there is no other first name last name. There will never be another first name last name. You are the only one I want to be with. She sends me a voice message while I'm at work 2 weeks ago, going off about why I'm liking women's pictures that are dressing this way and thirst traps when you have a woman who does the same thing for you. I'm confused because I try to be careful about just ignoring stuff like that. On my Twitter, I've had it since I was a teenager, and these spots are in every comment section. My algorithm has been... But anyways, in my confusion, I ask what picture she's talking about. She sends me the influencer's picture that I liked from days ago, and she is fully dressed, covered up in a pink tracksuit or something. The first picture was a shot from the back, but the rest were just normal pictures of her. She says, I remember how you used to be drooling over her on the TL. If that's what you want, then go for it and I will leave. I tell her it was mindless liking and she was fully clothed, so I didn't think anything of it. But if it made her more comfortable, I wouldn't like her pictures anymore. She said, okay, and then apologized for giving me an ultimatum so early on about something that could have just been discussed. 2 weeks go by, she sends another voice message, asking why guys like pictures of women doing XYZ when they have a girl. I immediately sigh because I know where this is going. She then asks, I'm just curious, why haven't you unfollowed that influencer yet? I have had no contact with the influencer, I haven't liked anything, commented on anything, DMs her anything, bookmarked anything, joined a live stream, nothing since the initial conversation. She gets upset when I give her my answer of, because it's not that deep, social media is not a real place. There are hundreds of people who follow me but don't react with any of my posts and vice versa. I'm rarely on Instagram, and when I am, I just scroll and like. She claims it's disrespectful to her not doing what was asked of her to make her more comfortable, and brings up examples of how a couple of my associates followed her when we got together, but she didn't follow them back to make me more comfortable. Which I didn't ask her to do. I just said one of them was a known whore and will probably try her. She said in the past that when she gets into a relationship, she would unfollow any dudes leaving thirst traps on her TL, and that's fine. I just don't think it's that deep. What matters most to me is how you interact with them in a relationship. You can look and like, but don't go, hey handsomer on their stuff. TL, my ex-F, says I disrespected her by not unfollowing an influencer at her current request, when 2 weeks prior, the request was to simply stop liking their posts, which I stopped doing. I did not interact with the influencer in any way for the 2 weeks. Also, did I use the symbol correctly in the beginning? I don't remember much from kindergarten learning, so I keep trying to put it where I think it belongs. Edit. It's only been a few days, but I do miss her heavily. She was everything I was ever looking for in a woman. Every week we find something new about each other that we love and always wanted to share with someone, but I'm blocked off everything, and there's been no response to the last message sent. I want to at least be friends. It's not like someone was cheating or anything. Should I send her some flowers or something, or just let it be? Edit 2. Guys, my ex isn't an influencer, and neither am I LOL. OP is not an AH for not unfollowing the said influencer. The problem is OP's girlfriend's past trauma. And because of now OP's ex was turning toxic, that is a point of concern for OP. As for advice, I would suggest OP to let it be and move on. Let's now move on to the next story from Pastel Deaths. AITA for not being attracted to the nice guy. 29F, got out of an abusive relationship about 2 years ago and have stayed focused on myself and healing. This last year, I went back to college and have been trying to focus on school, but I'm dabbling a bit with talking and dating. I won't go out of my way to go on dating apps, but if someone messages me / comes up to me, I won't turn them away. Recently, this super sweet guy messaged me on Insta, and we've been talking back and forth. He's really kind, caring, funny, and attentive. He's always asking questions and pays attention to what I say. He's into poetry, anime, and the gym. He's an ex-fat kid, so he's not judgmental either, and he has a very positive attitude. He currently doesn't work, but is taking care of his parents and going to school / working on being a personal trainer. Written down on paper, he's an amazing catch, which he truly is. The problem is that I'm just not attracted to him. Now, it's weird because I've never been one to date off of looks. It didn't matter if the guy was short, had messed up teeth, a receding hairline, or was a 3x4XL big boy. I always find myself attracted to who they are. But there's also always been a spark. Something about them that just lights a bit of a fire in me. I will say I have always been attracted to a more dominant personality. Unfortunately, this has led me to a lot of narcissistic jerks and bad boys. I spent the last 2 years trying to rebuild myself and my confidence that was destroyed by that type of person. We've gone out on one date, and he was a perfect gentleman. He brought me a small bouquet of flowers, opened the doors, kept attention on me, kept the conversation going, paid, and walked me to my car. He didn't press for a kiss or anything, but hugged me and told me he had an amazing time. When we text, we get along great, but honestly in person, I feel like I'm out on a date with my guy best friend that has a crush on me. I will say we are very different in some way. He's a stay-at-home, laid-back person who does the speed limit. Maybe 5 over LOL. I find it so innocent and adorable. He gives off a major nerdy vibe, but usually I love that. I'm a semi-nerd LOL. I like nerdy things, but I don't get super invested in any of them. I am always on the go and super social. I love to travel, and he said my speeds would scare him. My car stops me at 112. His music vibe is calm, and I'm more of a get up and go beat. IDK, maybe I'm reading into things just to find some reason as to why my DN doesn't like this guy. Looks-wise, he's not the cutest, but I'm also not a 10, so as I previously stated, I usually don't base my judgment off of looks, but I will say he's not my typical type. He's very dark. I usually go for white Puerto Rican types. He's short. I've only really dated one short person, and wasn't my favorite thing honestly, but also wasn't the reason me and that guy broke up. And he's really buff, which I like, but I've also been more into my thick teddy bear type of strong guy, not the muscular shredded dude. I'm not even sure if the looks are the issue. I just don't feel any kind of spark or excitement with him. Now he does kind of give off the weird guy who asks for a hug vibe. He's been in my DMs for a while now, even when I was with my ex, hence why I decided to give him a chance. But he does come off a little strong, even in person. But I'm a major overthinker, so once again, maybe I'm just trying to find some reason as to why I'm not into him. I was talking to my friends about what to do, and they're kind of split. I said I was going to talk to him still, and we can go on a second date. Maybe it was nerves, as the first date can be a lot on both ends, and I haven't been on a date in roughly 4-5 years. Maybe he will grow on me, but if by the second date I'm not interested, I will let him know, because I don't want to waste his time, and I feel like it would be messed up to keep dating him, to just see if maybe a spark might come. Some of my friends think this is a good idea. Some of them say it's wrong to go on a second date if I feel this way. A few friends are saying that I'm messed up in general for thinking of breaking it off with him since he's so great. They say that everyone always wants the nice guy, and I have him, so why would I break up with him over attraction? But wouldn't it be more messed up to just lead a guy on forever that I'm not attracted to? To me, I want the person I am with to be obsessed over me, and I over them. It feels like I'm settling and wasting both of our times if I keep going, plus why get him more attached just for things to possibly not change? AITA for not being attracted to the nice guy and ending things if I don't feel different after the second date? OP is not an AH for considering ending things with the so-called nice guy. He may be nice, but compatibility in a relationship is very important. If there is not compatibility, there are chances that the relationship would messed up finally. It's better to be honest and end it early than to lead the nice guy on without genuine romantic interest. Let's now jump on to the next story from unlikely_tradition38. AITA for ending a friendship because my ex-friend has no accountability or manners in someone's house? I, 34F, and her, 31F. For this story, I'll call her Bambi. Backstory. We went from co-worker to friends and dated for about 30 days. We broke up because I am poly, and she feels like non-monogamy's relationship or relationship with women ain't not serious. I made it clear the relationship I wanted, and that it was serious to me. She went along with it because IMO being with me is nice. I've paid for vacations, rent for her business, and helped organize events for her. She was dating a guy that was not serious according to her, but refused to acknowledge that we were together. I told her this was a deal breaker, and I was clear from the start what I wanted. She replied, I was just going to be in a relationship how I wanted and let you be in a relationship how you wanted. Meaning I was her girlfriend when she needed things, but not when I expected respect. I asked why did she not just say this to me, instead of leading me on. She stated I should have known, although she stated we were in a committed relationship that she meant a fake relationship. I stopped talking to her for a year, because she refused to apologize for leading me on, instead of telling me no. Fast forward to present day, I have elective surgery in Miami. I ask her to go because she can do my post-operation massages, and I know the money will help her as small business owner and single mom. Also, we had built up to a friendship over 7 years, so a 1-month relationship didn't have to be the end of us. I just needed time previously. I paid her a $1,000 to come with me and help after surgery. I also brought all the food, airfare, and lodging. She went to the store and stated she was going to go and come right back. Instead, she went to the beach, dropped her phone in the water, and met up with random people. This took a few hours. I asked her to please not lie, and just let me know her plans so I could plan accordingly. I chose not to take a shower before she left. I need help to, because she was coming right back. Instead, I didn't shower until very late at night. She stated that she did not lie, she just took a detour. I pointed out she packed a swimsuit and did a lot of things. I told her I didn't mind if she went out or had fun, just asked that she not say she would be back and actually making many stops. She yelled and screamed and said, I was mad she was with a guy. We are friends, and I am poly, I don't care. I've hung out with her and 2 different guys she dated numerous times, so that didn't make sense to me as accusation. Our Airbnb was a shared space in my name. A lovely couple with a 6-year-old daughter and pregnant wife was our host. I was mortified by the outburst in their home. I stopped talking to end the fight. Asked her if she could give me back half of the money I paid for future massages. She said no refunds. I said okay. She left to go smoke, and then came back screaming again that I owed her an apology for asking for a refund. I refused to. I booked another room and left to recover in peace. Our message? Me. Take your time, enjoy yourself, but next time do me a favor and don't lie. It's unnecessary. I'm good. Bambi, what I lie about now? Me. You said you were going and come straight back. You didn't. Bambi, what time did I leave? Me. You really don't have to come back, I'm fine. Bambi, I got here at 4:38. I got in the ocean, smoked, and was heading back, and he was like, let's smoke while I wait on my Uber. To me, I wasn't long. I didn't plan on being out any longer. I got sand all over me. It's a 40 minutes ride there and back. Me. Right, it's no sand in the dispensary. Bambi, it's no dispensary. Just relax you on drug and moody, I'll see you shortly. I got the beach from South Beach. Me. Did you go get weed then come straight back? Yes or no? Bambi, sends pictures of weed. I'm not explaining myself. I can take a break, I'll see you shortly. Me. Didn't ask you to explain. I asked you not to lie. You can make a bunch of reasons and excuses to minimize why you lied. Doesn't change that you lied. Just letting you know that you don't have to, and you took a 40-minute ride, you could have stayed and enjoyed yourself. It's really not a big deal. Argument mentioned earlier happened. After she stormed off, I left. Bambi. So, you pack all your stuff and left and didn't tell me? But I decide to enjoy the beach while I go get Bud. And that was a problem. I was called a liar. Knowing you're drugged up and being very irrational, you pack all your stuff up, carry all your by yourself, just to prove a dumb point that's still not proven. What you trying of make it seem like you left me? This will be the last and final time you will ever make it seem like you left me. Cutthroat and not to be trusted. That's what Ima calls you. You don't leave nobody out of state, period. You did this in Georgia, thank God I live near, and now in Miami, and I don't have my flight info bet. Me. You feel like how you communicate with me is okay. I don't. You lack accountability in my opinion, but you don't in yours. We can agree to disagree. I have no desire to be in an argument, nor be around someone, and it be nothing but negative energy. You have been walking around Miami by yourself, and you were fine, so acting like you are stranded is crazy. I left you with money, a free room, and I did not cancel your flight. I'll text it to you when check-in is available, probably around 8 p.m. Yeah, I'm so cutthroat. Cutthroat that I paid for your flight, food, room. Deciding not to stay in a room with you is not doing anything to you. Enjoy your day, go out, have fun, go to the beach. All I did was choose my peace. I don't owe you my presence. Bambi, you do know all this energy came from you, nothing but bad energy. All because I left to get bud. In your eyes, I didn't come back because I got the bud and decided to take a break and enjoy myself. Beauty F you though, I was supposed to do. Sit in the room and stare at you all day. Girl, please, I never told you I was coming to be a slave and not have me some me time. Fa. I even told you I planned on getting in the water and eating Cuban food. All this because I took 2 hours out my MF day. I was supposed to go to the beach and not go enjoy the water, just grab the bud and come back and watch you sleep. You act like you was hurt and needed me. I asked, was everything okay? You said, yeah, I'm fine. Hell, you like fine on FaceTime. Like, this is funny. I was gone for 2 hours. I can't make this up. I'm a TikTok this. Yes, cutthroat. I will never with you again. You're dead to me. Bipolar and always want to take your aggression out on others, cut you mad at your niggas? Everything that you have gave to me, I have gave it back to you. You don't owe me and I don't owe you me. I pray that at some point you grow enough to be able to accept accountability for what you do wrong instead of playing victim. Have a blessed day, AITA? OP is not an AH for breaking friendship with his ex-friend and setting boundaries with her. OP did his best to help her friend, but he was always met with disrespect and outburst from her. In this situation, OP's decision to prioritize his mental peace was the only way forward. And OP did nothing wrong by prioritizing his mental peace. So, I would rate OP 0 and OP's ex-friend 3.5 out of 5 on the AH scale. Let's now move on to the next story from strange_d_ja_vu, AITA for not putting up with my mother's bad behavior. 46 and my mother, 73F, had emotionally manipulated myself and my brothers and sister ever since our father died some 30 years ago. We were all kids when he died, and none of us ever got any sort of professional help to deal with the situation, and being so young, had no idea that her style of upbringing from then on was anything but normal. Now we are all adults, and some of us have had counseling. It's been easy to pinpoint various issues of manipulation my mother has done to control us. Recently, we have become aware that my mother potentially suffers from some sort of social anxiety. I can't say for sure that is what it is. Prior to the pandemic, she was employed in hospitality in 2 jobs which she enjoyed. She didn't need to keep working. She was already able to retire comfortably. She had been looking for a new dog since her last one had recently passed away, so I made a deal that I would help her get the dog she was after if she retired. She agreed, and so it happened. She quit one job, but kept a part-time one she works at on the weekends. My siblings and I would frequently invite her to gatherings, BBQs, etc. And she started to use the dog as an excuse because she could not attend. I can't leave the dog in its own, she needs me, etc., etc. A couple of years ago, she had a fall at work and broke/fractured her knee. She was in a moon boot for some time and unable to work, and was put on some sort of workers' compensation due to the incident happening while she was working. Fast forward to last year, she started using both the dog and now her health as an excuse to get out of any social activities. Her health has started to deteriorate recently due to the injury she sustained, but she has done next to nothing to try and help herself and recover. She constantly plays up how bad the injury and her health are to us all, to the point now where my brothers back her up, as though she is some sort of invalid who is dying. This last year, there have been some incidents that have annoyed me greatly. I got engaged and organized an engagement party. Straight away when it was announced, she started whining about how far away the party was. It was an hour away near to where I live, and my brothers or sister would have given her a lift. The day before the party, she conveniently claimed she tested positive to COVID. Recently I needed to get some servicing done to my car near her place. I asked well in advance if I could possibly stay the night at her place and get her to drive me there to drop the car off and then back again to pick it up later in the day whilst working the day at her place. She reluctantly agreed. Then 2 days before, she called me telling me she couldn't do it as her dog was sick. Her dog was fine. We had spoken on the phone all week, and she was telling me how the dog had been sicking the previous week, but was now over whatever illness it had. She then called me back a few hours later, had forgotten the excuse she gave me, and told me she had to cancel as she had had a fall and was too bruised to be able to drive me anywhere. I couldn't cancel the appointment as I would have incurred a $300 fee. A few months later, I was due to get married. My mother called me to tell me she was not going to stay in town near the wedding venue, again 1 hour from where she lived, like most of our family and friends, as she could not leave the dog on her own for so long, a length of 24 hours. She informed me she was hiring a chauffeur driving car to pick her up on the night. I was far from impressed and let her know. She then proceeded to use her health again as an extra excuse, saying she could not be on her feet for an extended amount of time, even though there were plenty of seating placed around the venue. On the day of my wedding, she informed me she would be leaving an hour earlier and told me she didn't want to tell me earlier because she knew it would have annoyed me. Then during the last couple of hours leading up to her departure, she spent that time pestering me to ready my son to leave with her, all whilst my wife and I were trying to do our formalities, leaving a bad mark on the night that should have been the happiest night of our lives. The final incident happened in the lead-up to Xmas last year. My sister and her partner planned to spend Xmas with his family in another state. Therefore, she would not be attending our usual family Xmas. We planned a gathering with the family earlier with a date that would suit everyone. We purposely did not tell my mother until the week leading up to the gathering, as we knew it would give her too much time to come up with another one of her excuses. Apparently, it was way too much time, as she managed to change a doctor's appointment for a very routine procedure from the week following the gathering to the day before the gathering. This caused a fight in the family. My sister and I were beyond annoyed and conveyed this to our brothers. They backed up our mother, saying, "She's old, she's not well. She may be old and not in the greatest of health, but she also could have waited to see the doctor for the appointment the following week." We believe she deliberately moved the appointment to have an excuse as to why she would not be attending. Mind you, the procedure she was having was a day before the gathering and would have given her ample time for any recovery. I called her up a week later, and she proceeded to abuse me for not calling her to check how she was after her procedure. I told her I was annoyed at her behavior, to which she replied and hung up on me. I have put up with this behavior for many years now, and I am no longer prepared to deal with it any further. This ruined Xmas for myself and my family, especially my son, who will now miss out on hanging out with his cousins and opening presents from my mum. AITA here. OP is not the AH, and he has endured years of manipulation and emotional strain from his mother, who avoids accountability and disrupts family events. OP's decision to set boundaries to protect his well-being and family relationships is both reasonable and necessary. He did nothing wrong here. As for OP's mum, she is an AH, and I would rate her 3.5 out of 5 on the AH scale, and OP gets a 0. Let's now move on to the next story from annual_brain_4722. AITA for having turned into a self-perceiving I, 30M, my dad, 50M, has NPD. He swears at me, hits me, in front of my very young kids, spouse, and mother, countless times. Regrettably, I cuss back, a few times now, and have also had to physically defend myself by also hitting back, which I wholeheartedly regret, as perhaps the best way to handle would have been silence and walking away. This time, again he responded by cursing and cussing my wife, and I, repeatedly blaming her for bringing the change in his household, that is, my behavior, and blaming her for the death of my grandpa, who we loved a lot, and he loved my wife and I very much, which took place several years ago. He blames her dark energy for that in his fit of rage, noting how my mother-in-law, wife's mother, and other females of my wife's family ate away the good people of their own respective families due to their dark energy. Even though I cussed back and also tried to comfort my wife, she is as sad as he is, or I am, or my mother is. It's not the first time, and some internet experts may argue that he is mentally unwell, You would never see him this way, even if you knew him as an outsider for decades, as he would preach and instill goodness in you. He does not have a bad heart, I feel, but in his rage says things that are simply terrible. My relationships are only spiraling downward, ongoing past several years, and my mother is too scared to get him to see his folly. She has adopted the approach and encourages my wife and I to do the same, to let him do what he wants, try to ignore and pray, and to enjoy our lives happily together. However, it is easier said than done, even if he was not vividly present in our life, because of how damaged I truly am. After 3.5 decades of existence, I am seeking professional help to no avail, which has been nothing short of garbage. That is, gone to therapy, undergoing psychiatric treatment, etc. But I don't trust anyone, not even you guys reading it. We live together, it is a cultural thing, and more like a necessity, as I cannot afford a place on my own. If we were to move out, it would be a big insult and humiliation to our family name too. But more importantly, I am going through health difficulties, and my spouse manages 2 young kids, so the financial issues are ever growing. The little money I receive is not enough for us to move out, nor is it permanent. We don't ask parents for money and contribute towards gas, groceries, smaller bill payments, etc. I lost a huge amount of money in the stock market, particularly AMC stock, still holding apes, with my life savings gone, and having leveraged, he also bailed me out and definitely helped financially, something he taunts me with at every chance he gets. Note that you can never repay your parents, but I also had paid him previously, and did pay him a portion after too. We do share finances as well, but in my teens, he had paid off my student debt and also put me through school, undergrad, and even grad for university, etc. I also had a bunch of scholarships. He also paid for our lavish wedding, which is how he wanted it. We are by no means rich. He works hard for every single dollar, and is frugal towards spending for himself and lavish towards spending for my mother, wifey, home, or kids. He is practical towards myself, which I appreciate. However, he repeatedly insults me, and although he loves the kids in his own very loving, caring, and gentle way, his way is clearly getting in the way of our parenting, as he often investigates where we took them to eat, or what we bought, or gives then little incentives to make sure they stay loyal towards him, and also goes as far as telling them that he is going to God, or go very far away if they don't listen to him. He is using the same love scare tactics he used on me to draw the kids to love, care, and listen to him over us, which drives my wife nuts. In all honesty, he does love them very much and would give up his existence for them in a heartbeat. While interactions with myself, spouse, and kids are starting to be more limited, they are still there, unavoidable, and I also don't want them to end, but want him to definitely change, which will never happen. We have talked several times about our issues, making attempts to trying to understand or even addressing, but we don't get anywhere, as he always finds a common enemy, that is, a devil, such as my lack of control on my speech or my attitude, for simplicity, in trying to get us to behave such way towards each other. No boundaries are ever respected, nor will they ever be. It comes down to, don't tell your parents how to make babies. Or, have you grown up so much that you will teach me how to behave? Or other such foolishly tactics. He has, at times, acknowledged that he is wrong, and that the best way for me to tackle him during the heat of the moment is to simply stay quiet and at a later time, acknowledge and review with him. I tried this approach, not nearly to a perfection, but failed miserably. Also, I am too weak now to simply absorb, and cannot help but feel compelled to either respond or engage reluctantly. He is not open to therapy, and has criticized me countless times for trying to seek help, calling me unmanly in front of my spouse, kids, and mother several times. I always trusted him with everything, but things have gone from bad to worse now. Throughout my life, I can count countless examples of him showering me with love, and countless more of him putting me down sometimes, justifying to get me life ready. I genuinely believe that everything I have is because of God's grace and my elders' blessings and prayers. However, my mother in the past, later my wife, and now I sincerely can't help but question his intent. He cheated on my mother several times, and when I confronted him, he simply brushed it off as if I'm supposed to look out for him. Though my mother is very well aware of it, I did not tell her and always defended him. She is no longer bothered by this, especially because he now faces health issues. She sincerely believes that someone has cursed our family, or there is evil eye, etc. in play, but also acknowledges that my dad's behavior has always been very difficult. My dad and I both fought each other countless times, only to make up after. As a child, it used to be the same day, as a teen usually the same week, and now sometimes even a month plus of no talking to each other, all while residing in the same house. But his narcissistic behavior and my bad experiences are constantly conflicting with the good ones, I recall, and have caused me to unknowingly have a part of him ingrained within me, my behavior, and tearfully, my actions. I definitely blame him for causing me health issues. Sadly, I simply do not have the courage to work currently with my finances and health being real issues. Everyone, including his own mother, my grandma, has wept because of his actions and his cruel speech and expressed their dislike towards his behavior and personality. But they, other family members such as my aunt, his sister, all chose to simply ignore his personality, not him, rationalizing to me that he is a good guy deep down and only means well. Even I try to ignore but fail because I am too weak. Deep down though, I love him so much, and I know he loves me too. I can tell. It has become unbearably difficult to simply walk away, forget, or I'm afraid, forgive myself. He hates that I am staying at home, off from work, and getting peanuts from government. But even when I was working full-time with a decent job, it was no better. We would often argue, fight, and insult each other. Just did not want to separate away from each other because somehow still feel connected, and would later discuss how weird and abnormal it would be for everyone if we were to stay apart. Few years ago, I did leave home with my kids and spouse, as he repeatedly yelled at my spouse and myself to get out with our kids, calling her a loser for marrying me, and also calling her lazy, unemployed in front of our kids, my mother and my grandma, who timidly asked him to stop, and in private encouraged me to leave with their blessings. My spouse cried a lot after his insults. My dad had taught me that a man never lets his wife shed tears, so I took the step of moving out. However, we ended up returning home because he called me to say that he will behave better, and also apologized to my spouse, who he has shown a lot of affection towards and a lot of respect in front of non-family, and also noted how my mother had suddenly fainted. Deep down, I knew it was not practical for us to move out even then. 2 very young kids, a spouse who had just come out of pregnancy, and only one source of income, whereby I was also on a paternity leave, along with COVID scares accompanied by my mother's tears. I blame him for feeling disrespected by everyone, including my spouse and little kids calling my names, which they learnt from him and do not even understand the meanings behind. Not listening to me, nor behaving nicely with me, etc. Also, seeing my wife not listen to me and having physically grown distant from me, as her mind is surrounded by my dad's insults. Recently, he provoked me again. I got angry, cursed at my own self, to which he further responded by cursing me to die, not the first time, while yelling and cussing my wife, mother, and I. Further, he shared numerous examples of his personal interactions with my spouse, noting how she also calls me names like psycho, mad, etc. My spouse denies this outright, and while I don't trust my dad and have doubts about my wife because of how much he lies, and due to my life experiences in general, he swore that those interactions were very real. My spouse totally hates him and feels that the good he did have simply been efforts to buy the love and respect, but the bad he does outweigh everything else. He often cusses at her family for not being respectful towards him, in that they did not treat him with as much respect as he did, and also called my spouse all sorts of vulgarities in front of me. I obviously let out a lot back at him, and for the first time, also heard my wife slightly raise her voice back at him, which was mildly infuriating, just because she usually stays quiet. So he showed no shame in going all out crazy in his fit of rage. Sadly, and unknowingly, I feel that I may have adopted some of his ways, and only realize how terrible I have become as a person afterwards, such as raising my voice, and also having sudden fits of rage, but that is also because of my health issues. In his sane state, even he pointed out that I should raise my kids different compared to how he raised me, that is, not show aggression, and instead adapt more modern methods of parenting as opposed to the traditional whoop your or my way or the highway approach, but I have been totally unsuccessful and impatient. I know the best way is not to let him control my thoughts, actions, and consciousness. However, I feel so much weaker now. I have been raised and firmly believe in God, and also in never ever disrespecting your parents, but feel lost and cannot seem to control. I am struggling so much: health, relationships, finances. Even my prayers are not working, perhaps because I disrespected my parents? Am I truly? My mother says that I shouted and said too much, and that I should have some shame as he is my father. My wife says that I am not at wrong. My grandma says that she is ashamed overall, and I feel guilty. OP is not the AH for defending themselves and their family against their father's abusive behavior. While OP's responses may not always be ideal, and for this OP is a little bit AH, but OP's father's ongoing toxicity, manipulation, and lack of accountability leave OP in an impossible situation. As for scores, I would rate OP's father 3.5 out of 5 on the AH scale, and OP gets 0.5 out of 5 on the AH scale. What do the Mac Reddit fans think? Is the OP an AH or not? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like the stories I brought you, just hit the like button, share them as much as you can, and don't forget to subscribe to Mac Reddit for a daily dose. Bye bye! See you tomorrow with some more spicy fries.